Hello YouTube, this is Billy. Today I'm coming to you with a 2000 model Lexus GS300, and I'm going to be replacing the upper control arms. You can see this upper control arm right here. It has a bolt up there and a bolt up there and ball joint here. So far all I've done was back it into the garage and got the back wheels chalked and got jack stands up underneath it. And before I got it up in the air, I broke loose the lug nuts while it was down on the ground, and then raised it up. And so I'm gonna get this wheel off and set to the side. So now that I've got the tire removed, we can definitely see things a lot better. And so the symptoms that I was having is you'll notice that this is the outside of the tire, and you see right here where I'm rubbing my thumb, the tire is more worn on this outside edge, and the inside edge still looks real nice. And right now I'm on the passenger side of the vehicle. My driver's side tire is more noticeable of the issue being a lot more noticeable on the driver's side. In any event, I will be replacing both of them, but the procedure would be the same for both sides. So now that I've got the tire out of the way, and so when you grab when your wheel is still on and it's lifted up, you can grab the top of the tire and the bottom of the tire with two hands and work it back and forth like this while it's still bolted on to the wheel hub. And there's a wiggle that's happening right here in this ball joint. And if you look in the back side, this rubber is just completely not good. In any event, that's why I'm replacing this upper control arm. Pulling this little nut here. That's actually a 17 millimeter is what I'm using. I've actually gotten the nut to come all the way off of it. Now what I'm going to do is actually put it on there until I feel the tip of it close to being flush with the bolt there, or the nut. And in this position, I'm going to take a hammer and give it some taps to try to get this to separate a little bit. Okay, now what I actually did is took some extensions and made them reach long enough to reach, because the little nut, once it got kind of flush with the tip of the bolt, and there was a gap. There was a gap. Right now the gap's on the top side, but the gap was on the bottom because the nut backed off. Anyway, so to get it to separate, I took some extensions and connected them to where they would touch the bottom here like this. And with my jack, I put pressure and pressure and pressure on it with, pumping on the jack. And once I felt like it had plenty of good pressure on it, then I just went to just bam, 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 just whooping on this little knuckle right there. And, I'd beat on it on this side, then I'd beat on it on this side, just back and forth and back and forth. Eventually, it finally just popped loose. So I just got that to separate. Just wanted to show you guys what I ended up doing there. Here's a better look at the extensions, how I connected them. I had my short, big extension there, and my long, big extension connected. And then I had my smaller extension, smaller in diameter. See how that's smaller and that's bigger? But anyway, so I had these two connected, and then this long one and that little one connected, and then I just inserted it like that, and the big end was down inside the bowl of the jack, and this small piece up here was directly under that little nut right there. And by pumping up on the jack, applying pressure on the bottom of that nut and tapping on that, and got it to separate. And my little socket extensions were going right down through there into the bowl. So it was going straight from being underneath this nut and just kind of straight down through there into the bowl of the jack there. Worked well for me. Okay, all I did was put my ratchet back on there and get this little nut removed. And what I'd like to share with you guys is make sure you're fully aware of this, that when you separate this knuckle, all of this is going to try to come toward you, okay? So like I'll separate it. So all I'm doing is pushing up, because earlier with the hammer and stuff, I got it to separate. But I don't know how good you can see that, but this whole thing could easily take a nosedive toward me. So just keep that in mind, that while you're doing everything you're doing. So what I'm probably going to do is take some wire. I'm going to take some wire and tie this to this spring. That way I can raise this up and get that bolt and that bolt out without this trying to come toward me. Okay, I decided to use 3 zip ties to keep that held back. That will keep all of this from coming toward me as I separate these two. So now I can see, now I can separate the two without worrying about this thing coming toward me. And now I need to get that socket for those two right there. Get those bolts loosened off and removed. Okay, and this is also a good time to tell if you definitely, like me, needing to replace your upper control line, because you see, when it's the way it's supposed to, the new one is going to be very, very stiff. It's going to be super hard to move this. But look at this. I mean, this thing is moving all over the place. Super easy to move. Yeah, definitely way past time to replace this. Okay, what I'm doing to reach these bolts is I'm using a 14 millimeter wrench. So that's what I'm doing to get these bolts loosened out. Okay, I was able to get that one pulled out until it hit the spring there. So now I'm over here on the other side getting it loosened up. And this side was really, really tight. The other side took a lot less effort. This side over here, pretty tight. So if you're needing a strategy to be able to get some backup on your wrench to be able to turn it, with this wrench, I've got the box end on the nut down there and the open end facing me like this. So I can take the box end of another another wrench, and slip it on here like this. And see, now I can get better leverage to turn that. Okay. So for anybody, this might help. Okay, I just got through fighting getting this thing out, and the bolt that was hitting the spring on this side, this bolt was hitting the spring. So to try to manipulate the spring to get it to kind of fluctuate in some way so that I could play with it to get that thing out, which it still took plenty of struggles before I finally got it. And what I did is I actually put the floor jack directly under the hub there, because on the bottom, that bolt head, this up on the bottom there, I jacked up on that, and by jacking up on that, it pushed everything up and it helped move that spring. And I'll be honest with you, it didn't move like a lot, but it moved ever so slightly to be able to make it a winnable feat, because I finally got it out. So here we are, out with the old and ready to go in with the new. Yeah, that ball joint was not good at all. Thank you, Lord, it didn't come apart while I'm driving. So now, ready to start getting the new one going back in. Okay, so I just got the new one out of the packaging and comparing it to the old one. It's always good to make sure everything looks correct and proper before getting too involved. So this looks like a great match. And you see on this one, this is going to be very, very stiff. Very, yeah, that one's not moving. So that's that's what you want. You want it to be real nice and stiff. Okay, you guys, I just got it both going back in. Okay, and let me tell you, getting these little bolts to find the you know, getting this backside, you know, getting it to line up to where you could tighten the bolt up on both sides. That was definitely a task. It took a lot of wiggling up and down, tapping up and down, and it took me some time. I guess I was a little unlucky at getting it to, you know, getting it to go into this backside, but I finally got it. And so now I'm going to get my 14 millimeter back on these and get these tightened up. And right now I just barely, in fact, to get this to where it poked down inside this piece, you know, after cutting the zip ties I had up here. And speaking of zip ties, I ended up putting more zip ties in other places, because depending on if I was working on this side or if I was working on this side, sometimes this piece that I'm touching, I would want it over here out of my way, and sometimes I'd want it over here out of my way. So I would just zip tie it accordingly so that I would be able to work more better with these bolts that I was trying to get to seat. So now, get these 14 millimeters tightened back up, and then get this nut here tightened up with the little pin back in it, and get my wheel back on. And that would be an upper control arm replacement, and it'd be basically the same thing on the other side. Another pointer that, for me, okay, now see the front of the car, that's the windshield there, and so this is the passenger side front. But anyway, so the windshield of the car is there, okay, and the headlights are up here. Okay, I got this one to stab really easy, and this one closest to the windshield, I fought it for a very long time. After a very long time of fighting it, I pulled this bolt all the way back out, and even pulled it to where it was out of the little socket and everything. And I focused all my attention on getting this one to, you know, getting that to seat and get the bolt to go in to where to tighten it down. Once I got, once I got this side closest to the windshield, then I was able to somewhat easier, you know, get the side closest to the headlights done. So I don't know if that'd be much helpful knowledge, but you might want to get the one closest to the windshield first. The one closest to the headlights is a lot easier. Okay, just got my little clip put back in to hold the nut from backing off. Did get my little 14. Oh, speaking of, so the one that I took off was a 17 millimeter right here, and the new one that I replaced it with, the nut is a 19 millimeter. Now these are still the same bolts back here, so I've already tightened up my 14 millimeters there and there. And now I've tightened up this one here. Put the little pin on it. So now it's just getting the wheel back on and removing some zip ties from holding stuff back. Okay, got the wheel back on, the car lowered back down to the ground, torqued the lug nuts back down, and because of the wear and tear that was obvious on the tires, I rotated the front to the back and the back to the front. That's why this tire looks so pretty, because it was on the back. In the event, if anybody this video may help, let everybody be safe out there, and good luck. Bye.